the last video of 2023 was a FNAF video I did on Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. So everyone compares Chuck E. Cheese to FNAF, and I think that's one of the reasons why they destroyed the animatronics for some reason. I think that's the only reason people go, because like at that point it's just actually a kid's gambling place, but basically little to no entertainment. I really like Chuck E. Cheese. We're gonna watch this video made by this guy, the TNT Muffin. I like that name. So
Chuck E. Cheese is most well known for their animatronic performers. Over the years, these animatronics, and especially the stages they've stood on, have been through many changes and have had many different variations. So today, I thought it might be fun to talk about all of them. I'll be talking about them in the order that they were created, as well as separating them.
So it's like the Chuck E. Cheese timeline, basically, is what he's trying to say.
By the different eras of Chuck E. Cheese. For example, let's start off with the first era, when the brand was actually called Pizza Time Theater. First, there were the portrait stages, also called the shelf. These weren't really stages, but instead little picture frames with animatronics inside of them. The animatronics were Jasper, Pasquale, who actually had doors that opened up at the front.
I was gonna say, before I was really man, what happened? I think something happened. Bro, get this creepy shit off my screen. Hold on. They got those at Universal Studios. They have Donkey from Shrek. That's all I want to say.
Picture frames with animatronics inside of them. The animatronics were Chucky, Jasper, Pasquale, who actually had doors that opened up at the front, and Krusty the Cat. There were also the Warblettes, who were...
Isn't Krusty the Cat from Simpsons? Like, isn't that the little cat thing with the cat? It's like Tom and Jerry, but it's more like adult and violent. Isn't that what that is?
They're actually not in a picture frame, but instead on a red stage at the top of the dining area. Eventually, Krusty was replaced by Mr. Munch, and the Warblettes were briefly replaced by the Mopsy sisters. There were also these guest stars that changed a few times, which were Helen Henny, Sally Sachet, Madame Oink, and Foxy Colleen. The first location to feature this was in...
They should have kept Foxy Poe. I think she looks cool. She reminds me of Foxy from... Oh, because the name's fucking Foxy. I think she looks the coolest out of all the other ones, all the other side characters. She looks the coolest and the most human-like creepy animal.
1977 in San Jose, California. Something interesting about these stages is that at first they weren't actually all in one place, but instead spread around the dining area. Although they did eventually change this format and move the animatronics onto two walls. Unfortunately, this type of stage did only last until 1991, so we haven't been able to see these guys in over 30 years. Next up was the balcony stage, which started being made in 1979. As the balcony title implies, these stages were elevated pretty high up.
Is it at the Muppets though? Like in one of the movies, isn't it like them in the windows and stuff, and like the stage basically? And that's what don't they have that at Knott's too, and Universal? I think it's either their capping. I don't fucking know. I seen that before. It's not Chuck E. Cheese.
Chucky, a guest star, and Pasquale on the main area, and then the Warblettes higher up on the left. There was also this thing called the clapperboard, which was basically just this thing on the wall that had animatronic hands that just cheered after the performance. That sounds like a pretty funny thing to have. I wish that was still around. Something pretty interesting about this type of stage is that they had different themes, like this one that was themed around the Wild West. And some of these stages even had...
I swear I see that in a Muppets movie. They're so... Actually, the hand things, I guess that's pretty cool. I think that's actually kind of weird, though, out of context.
A little tunnel that you could crawl through called Mr. Munch's Magic Madhouse.
They should bring that back.
There's not much information on these things, but from what I could get from it, it's a little tunnel you can crawl through which has, like, strobe lights in it. These type of stages were a lot more common than the shelf, with over 275 being made. They also lasted a lot longer, with the last one sticking around until 2001. Next up is a really cool one in my opinion, the rocker stage. It was first made in 1987 and...
I really like this one. This one actually looks really cool, and like it's creative. I don't like Helen. I think they could have put, Bella the bunny. I recently found out she existed because you know how like when the FNAF movie was coming out, I think that was like around Halloween, right, of last year. It had like the FNAF is like the characters. They're like side. They're all lined in the line, but they're slightly poking out each character. And then Chuck E. Cheese did that. That's why. And then they like got no because they destroyed the animatronics before that. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Featured the same animatronics as the balcony stage, except with bodies. This one looked like a house and actually had a couple animatronics inside of it peeking through the windows. Eventually, they did actually start switching to newer animatronics, and this stage lasted until 2022, which was just a year ago. This is personally one of my favorites.
No, I ain't never seen that. Yeah, in 2022, I didn't see that. I wish I seen that. That was actually really cool. They loved it. See, they're being creative. They weren't doing no basic shit, just having them stand there.
Favorite stages they've ever done. I think it looks really cool, and I would have loved to see it in person. It sounds pretty wild to walk into a Chuck E. Cheese and see a whole front of a house inside of it. Along with the rocker stage, another replacement for the balconies was the C stage.
No, you know what they should do? They should get a house that you can like walk in and like you can ask animatronic questions. They should do that. I pay my money to go there.
Which was basically a combination of the two. It had the same animatronics as the balcony stage, but with a very similar design to the rocker stage. It has a big C on the front of it, which is where the name C stage comes from, as well as some flower decorations. This one only lasted from 1988 to 2003. And this next one isn't really a different version of the main stage, it's kind of just a separate thing. From 1978 to sometime in the 90s, there were these two stages called the Lounge and the Cabaret. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it or not. The cool thing about these, similar to the balcony stage with the guest animatronics, the animatronics in the Lounge and the Cabaret actually rotated out. The Cabaret had Dolly Dimples, Artie Antlers, and BB Bubbles, who all played the piano.
I swear, if anyone says that fucking BB elephant bitch looks like me.
There was also Helen Henny, who played the ukulele. The Lounge was pretty similar, a small stage rotating out animatronics, except this one had an additional gimmick, which was that there were all parodies of other singers and bands. There was, of course, The King, a parody of Elvis, The Beagles, a parody of The Beatles, and The Beach Bowsers, a parody of The Beach Boys. And there was also a different...
I thought they were gonna say something I knew because I had a funny joke, but now I can't say it because they didn't say anyone that I knew.
Version of The King called King Cat, which was a parody of Michael Jackson. These were two really cool stages. I like the idea of the animatronics rotating out, and I think having parodies of other people is pretty funny. And that's all the stuff we've got here for...
I feel like someone would take that too far and press charges saying, oh, they copied my idea and they're making money off it. I want some of that, and they'd sue. I feel like someone's done that and that's why they stopped it.
The Pizza Time Theater era, so now it's time to go forward a little bit in history and talk about the next era of Chuck E. Cheese and introduce Munch's Make-Believe Band. In the early 90s, there was a chain of restaurants similar to Chuck E. Cheese called Showbiz Pizza, which started getting converted into Chuck E. Cheese, changing the Rockafire Explosion Band into Munch's.
Yo, I saw that. I saw that movie thing where the dude, he said he wants to see the fat ass little panda thing, but he says he can't because he didn't have his lunch. And then like the little kid, he sneaks backstage and the animatronic eats him. I know what he's talking about. I think I know what he's talking. I hope that's what he's talking about. So I'm just so crazy.
Believe Band. And this conversion created the Chuck E. Cheese 3 stage. It featured the animatronics Chuck E. Cheese on the left with a star behind him, Helen Henny, Mr. Munch, and Jasper on the middle stage with a city behind him.
See, I was gonna say why'd they make Mr. Munch so chunky, but then I'm glad they did because like. Y'all remember when they used tickets before they switched the cards, like fruitcakes? He was eating the tickets. And that I like that idea. They need to bring that back. I want my tickets. I don't want a card.
And then Pasquale on the right with a brick wall behind him to look like a stand-up show. On the middle stage, there was also an animatronic building and an animatronic moon that popped out during performances, as well as a little dude on the floor called Munch Jr. And if you want to know more about
I want Munch Jr. I want him to sit next to my desk. If I ever find one, I'm going to keep him for myself.
a whole separate video talking about his history. Sadly, it is only...
I'm watching that next. Not only make it a video, I want to see Munch Jr. He sounds so cute.
being used at 5 locations at the time of making this video, but cool. It's just got so many characters and moving parts, and I think it's also cool that under the skin of the animatronics, you've got the bones of the Rockfire Explosion Band. Speaking of the 3-stage, there was actually a
That's low-key lazy though, and like kind of messed up. Cause like imagine like someone skinning you and then putting someone else's skin, like making you a completely different person. Imagine someone doing that to you. That's messed up.
prototype version of it that was being made when they started converting showbiz to Chuck E. Cheese. This stage was designed to look like the inside of a house and featured the same characters as the 3-stage, just in different locations. There were Helen Henny, Chuck E. Cheese, and Jasper, who are on the left stage. The Singing Flowers were in a flower pot on the middle stage, and Pasquale and Mr. Munch were on the right stage, with Mr. Munch being inside of a red barrel. Unfortunately, this stage didn't ever actually make it into the public and was just purely a prototype. In addition to the Rockfire Explosion bands being converted into Munch's Make Believe band, the Pizza Time Theater bands did as well. In 1990, the animatronics from the balcony, rocker, and C stage were used to make the road stage. All of these animatronics were half bodies other than Chucky, who is off to the left as a full body. Chucky stands in front of the star from the 3-stage, while the others are in front of a giant cityscape. This stage is actually pretty interesting, and luckily some of them are still left, with 6 locations still holding them. In 1992, these same animatronics were used to make the 2-stage, which featured all full-body animatronics.
See these ones I remember. I remember these ones. These ones, I see a shirt. I don't like you. This is the only time they didn't do Pasquale dirty though. It made him look like Marinette's dad from Miraculous.
This stage in design is pretty similar to the 3-stage, with Helen and Mr. Munch in front of a city, Jasper and Pasquale in front of a brick wall, and then Chucky off to the left with a TV separating him from the rest of the animatronics. I was actually pretty surprised by how little of these are still left in the wild. Only 14. Along with the 2 stages, the 1 stage was created with a pretty similar design, with everybody in front of a city other than Pasquale, who is in front of a brick wall. There was also a unique version of the stage in Staten.
Why do I keep blocking him off? Like, stop doing my boy dirty. Look how yummy I don't know what the fuck Chucky got going on, but look how yummy Jasper looks, and Mr. Munch and Helen the stupid bird looks compared to him. I don't know if it's because it's human or he's human, but they need to stop doing him dirty because he's not my favorite character. Actually, it's Mr. Munch and Jasper. Those two are my favorite. And now it's Mr. Munch Jr. because he's so cute.
Island, New York, but it's unfortunately gone now. A really cool thing about this type of stage is that Chucky stood on top of a little platform that could rotate around, so a person in a mascot costume could stand on the other side, and they could swap places. This was to create the illusion.
That would be so scary, bro. That'd be scary as shit. No, because what if they're standing in the costume and it rotates? What if it fucking rotates and they get stuck in there and die? What if that happened?
That there was only one Chucky and he just walks off stage to go say hi to everyone. Kind of like the reason they had those spring lock suits in Five Nights at Freddy's, except without the risk of danger and death. Although sadly, no more locations have a functioning moving platform anymore. And fun fact,
I think that's a good idea, because if a kid sneaks on there where the performer's supposed to stand, and like they didn't know the kid was right there, and it switches around and it kills them like the spring traps. What if that happened? And that's when they start stuffing. That's when they stuff the body and I was about to say Freddy and Chucky's body, and they keep it like that. And more people are finding out about it, and more people keep doing that. Like someone like puts their head in between Pasquale's head in the drum, hand in the drum, and like it crushes them, and then they have to put them in Pasquale's body. What if that's happening?
They used to live near a 1-stage.
That was the real reason they had to stop the animatronics.
Which had every animatronic other than Chucky. Pretty interesting to go to a Chuck E. Cheese and see everybody other than the man himself. And by the way, there are 21 stages left. And speaking of the 1-stage and the 3-stage, there are 2 stages that are basically a combination of the both. First of all, there is the Cyberamic 3-stage. This was first made in the year 2000 and featured the actual 3-stage stage as well as the decoration.
I actually really like this one. This one's... You're still doing my boy dirty. See, Chucky, he gets his own because, like, he's that nigga. It's his shit. But they just keep auctioning him off, though. He's just in the shadows. At least Chucky getting some light. They just leave him by himself. He's a part of the band, too. He literally plays the drums. Chucky just fucking stands there. Like, I seen, like, 2 of him singing, and he doesn't even do a good job at it. And then they don't even need him to sing because Helen sings. So put him in the middle and execute Chucky.
except the animatronics were the cyberamic characters, the same ones used in the 2-stage and the 1-stage. This seems like something that would actually be pretty cool to see in person, although sadly the last one was removed earlier this year. And now the other sort of combination stage is basically the same but reversed. This is the Concept Unification 1 stage, which is basically the same as the 1 stage except with the 3-stage.
See, now they finally put him in, but they did him dirty. At the drawings, they did pretty good. But then they do make him as an animatronic, they do him dirty. I want justice for my boy.
However, this isn't the average 1 stage, it's actually pretty different. The first one of these was made in 2010 and had the animatronics on a stage with a painted city behind them, text saying Munch's make-believe band, and TVs. There were only 3 of these ever made, which is pretty interesting. Luckily, this type of stage isn't completely gone and has 1 stage left, which is in Springfield, Illinois. And would you look at that, we made it through all of these.
Springfield is real? I thought that was just from The Simpsons. I'm gonna go look that up later.
Munch's make-believe band stages, and now it's time to, unfortunately, say goodbye to most of the characters because we're going on to Studio C.
I like how this Chucky looks. Watch the little white boy talk. Oh, there we go. I like how he looks. He actually looks like he does tax invasion. Like that's basically what Chuck E. Cheese is now, at least.
From being a rat to being a mouse. To go along with this, they made a new version.
What's the difference? One's just bigger, and the other one's cute. Oh yeah, see, that makes sense. Never mind. Forget I was even talking.
Of the Chucky animatronic, which was a lot more friendly looking, and this was the start of the Studio C stages. Our first version was actually a prototype stage made back in 1996 called the Awesome Adventure Machine. It featured a unique Chucky animatronic with 22.
I like this one. I like how they made his eyes cartoony. I think he looks creepier. I think it's because he was a rat originally. I didn't know that. I thought he was always a rat. Actually, I keep mouse and rats confused because I talk to a lot of rats.
Movements inside of a special machine. This was without a doubt the most complex stage that they've ever had, with a lot of moving parts and a few little characters as well. There were computers, calculators, a vacuum cleaner, a navigation system, and many more little pieces. There were also 2 big screens on either side of the stage with decorations absolutely everywhere. This was arguably the coolest stage they've ever made, and I would have loved to see it in person. But unfortunately, it only stayed up for 1 year. Our first mass-produced type of the studio.
I think that one would have brought in the money. I feel like that one would have been the iconic one if they would need to get rid of it.
Studio C stage was the Studio C Alpha. Unlike the stages in the past, this one was a lot smaller and had only the Chucky animatronic with no other characters. While there is this one green parrot, which was originally supposed to have a much bigger role, actually interacting with Chucky, although it did end up being just made as a piece of the background. This stage was made to look like a late-night TV show with Chucky in front of a desk, a window at the back with a city outside, an apple-shaped TV screen, and the bird I mentioned earlier. There was also this interactive console off to the side, which allowed people to look at the cameras like FNAF, and also allowed them to play sound effects and control a boom mic above Chucky. However, most of the
I got a question. Did the security guard have to check that when they were playing the game? I mean, yeah, the little control panel thing.
interactive consoles did end up getting removed, and only one of them still has it. I think the stage has a really cool design, and I'm glad to say that there are still 30 of them left. In the year 2000, they made the Studio C Beta. This one was a lot more simplistic, with basically just this thing behind Chucky and nothing else. It's some type of metal panel with a black and white spiral and some lights on it. There also used to be a big screen next to the stage, and it had a camera that would display people on it, but now those are all gone. It's just a normal monitor setup. An interesting thing about this stage is there are actually 2 versions of the animatronic, one of them that has 16 unique movements and one that has 32 movements. This stage is one of the most common, with around 60 still being left. There's also this really cool thing called the 3.5 stage, which is basically the Studio C Beta stage on top of the 3 stage. Only one of these exists, which is in Chicago, Illinois. The same year, there was a prototype studio.
I don't like how he looks like that. Hold on. We go back. Yeah, I don't like how he looks like this. I think it's weird. No, because I feel like he'd attack me. I feel like he'd, like, kill me or something. Like, I feel like someone would stuff me in his mouth or something. Like, kill me or something.
Prototype Studio C stage, which was tested in 6 locations. It had the Chucky animatronic animatronic on stage with a jukebox type structure behind it that had big lights on it. There was also
Oh, hell no. 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 Do that. Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. Run it back. Hold on. 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 Y'all know how that's gonna close on her. Y'all know how in the beginning of the video I said that on the little spinning stage, what if that closed on someone? And y'all see how the curtain closes and no. I'm glad they got rid of that.
stage in the middle with two interactive consoles on either side of it, which is pretty neat. Unfortunately, though, none of these prototype stages are left. In 2003,
Good.
they made an even more simplistic type of stage called the Studio C Kappa. This was basically the same as the Studio C Beta, except behind it was just a black and white design with lights. The stage also has no curtains, which does make it stand out a bit. Something that is actually pretty cool about this stage is there was a special version which featured a mirror behind Chucky. Only 7 of these guys were ever made, and at the time of making this video, only 2 of them are left. Although the normal version of it does have around 20 still left. A really unique stage was made in 2009 and only...
I think the mirror is kind of useless. I don't think you needed that for real. Y'all remember when Chuck E. Cheese had go-karts? No, go-karts. Bumper carts. Yeah. See? Why do they gotta do this? Why'd they take those out? Who got ran over?
Only had 1 ever made, and this was the Star Stage. It featured the Studio C Chucky animatronic on stage with computer-operated cutouts of the singing flowers and Pasquale behind him, some props, and also 2
Thank you. Finally did my boy right. Finally gave him some light.
were behind him. One looked like a recording studio and the other looked like a baseball stadium. There were also 2 screens which were on either side of the stage and showed some characters on them. I think this stage is really cool. It's interesting that only 1 of them was ever made, and the idea of being able to change the backdrops behind Chucky is really cool. Although sadly, this stage is no longer around. Another stage that only had 1 ever made was the Galaxy stage, created in 2011. It was Chucky
Mario Galaxy.
a small stage that had a railing surrounding it and a futuristic cityscape behind him. Unlike the other stages, this backdrop spanned across the entire wall with lots of space-themed and futuristic decorations. I would have loved to see this in person. I think the vibes are really cool, so it does really suck that it was removed last year. Now let's get back to talking about stages that we can still go to. In 2012, there was the Circle of Light stage created, which was basically the new version of that Galaxy stage. It features Chucky on a very similar stage with big circular...
I feel like they got rid of this. What the f- that nigga look demonic as hell. But anyways, I think they got rid of this one because like it could have caused a seizure because of flashing lights. I think that's why they got rid of this one.
Galaxy stage, the entire back wall is decorated, being completely covered in smaller circular lights. Originally, the lights actually went along with the music, but they did recently stop programming them to do that with the newer songs. They've also started making a version of the stage without the Chucky animatronic, so it's just a big wall of circular lights. I think this type of stage looks awesome, so it makes sense why they're so common, with around 80 of them being left. Although I am unsure how many of those have the Chucky animatronic and how many don't. And finally, we've made it to the last and definitely the worst stage.
Oh, we were raking? Oh. I didn't know that. I thought this was the history.
Live stage. So the live stage is a light-up dance floor that's in the middle of...
Ah, that shit. I recently, when I got the idea to make about to say Five Nights at Freddy Chucky video, when I realized that stupid like, dumbass pad on the fucking floor that you can only move heads, like it had the heads of the character and you can move around. I recently found out they used that instead of the animatronics. Like they could have made something cooler, like bop bop bop. That they'll go first. You have to hit their head. They could have did that. They should have made some parkour shit.
The dining area with some monitors above it. Every hour there's a show and somebody in a mascot costume does a performance. As you may have noticed, I didn't mention what animatronic this stage has, and that's because it doesn't have any. With the new Chuck E. Cheese.
Unfortunately, this one's gay and I don't like it. See, they should let me get in the studio. If they're gonna do some dumb shit like this, they couldn't make the stage. No animatronics. People, hear me out. Don't steal my idea. At least for pay me. But here's the thing. People, like, it's the stage. And, like, you know, like, the stage, it's like, it has all the drums and stuff. It's all their, like, equipment that they use. That part, it, like, sucks in and goes into the wall. And it's just a regular plain stage. And, like, the curtain's open. It's, like, people in the mascot, like, Munch, Pasquale, Chucky, all of them. And they start dancing and like that, the music in the background. They start a show like that. If they're gonna take away my animatronics, they do something like that, something that's entertaining.
2.0 redesign, they're unfortunately getting rid of most of the animatronics and just replacing them with this dance floor. It's very disappointing, and a lot of the fans are very angry about it, but that's what's happening. The animatronics are the main thing that make.
I say we boycott Chucky. What the fuck? I'm side by side. I don't know what side's creepier. But anyways, I forgot. Go on. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Stand out from other places, so without them, it's a lot more boring. I really hope.
I say we boycott Chuck E. Cheese. Make them bring our shit back, or we shut down every location and make something else. Something called like from Fazbear Pizzeria or some shit. Make it something like that instead.
Eventually, they start making more animatronics, but as it seems, this is how it's gonna be going. But there we have it. As far as I know, every type of Chuck E. Cheese stage in history. I think this was a pretty fun video make.
Thank you, Mr. The TNT Muffin, for making this video so I can steal your content, watch it, and give you my unwanted opinion. Now that that is accomplished, I hope we have a good year. I don't know what to say. Goodbye.